Okay, we'll call the Pownal Select Board meeting to order on Thursday, December 6, 2018, for a special meeting which will start at 7 p.m. On the agenda is the agenda approval of the town healthcare plan, consider request proposals RFP for a new town office, and then we'll adjourn. I'll remind people this is a special meeting. Under a special meeting, you can only talk about the items that are on your agenda. Okay. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of the town health care plan, which
we need
is,
As discussed, we put a fair amount of research in. We met with all employees. Employees had an opportunity to go to their physicians, check, make sure that they were covered. We did a Skype, Linda and I, with MVP. This is approximately 8% savings for the town. And request a vote to switch to MVP healthcare.
is this also a reduction for our employees so they don't
Yes,
have to
it
pay
is.
as much?
Yes, it is.
I like the fact the town's getting a reduction, but it's nice when employees get it too.
Has this already started?
No, we'll start tomorrow morning.
Oh,
So with that, I get a motion to accept this plan for our town employees.
So moved.
Get a second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on it?
I got a couple of questions. You're the man that investigated it, right, Michael?
Yes, sir.
So, I'm not an insurance guy by any stretch of the imagination, but is this thing just about equal in all capacities as far as coverage?
Virtually identical.
Virtually identical, just this MVP is a little cheaper.
Correct.
Okay, that was the question I had, because I mean, I don't,
Can I ask a question? I was just wondering if it includes an HSA or anything at that point that the kids, employees have to pay more, but for a deductible, and if there's a vehicle available that will help, they will be helped with the HSA account.
No, we don't have an HSA account.
Okay.
That was not selected.
Okay. Any further questions? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. You'll see that people are informed and
Yes.
know they have this health insurance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Consider request for proposal for RFP for the town office. We have one, a proposal that's in front of us. Get a motion to accept or the thing in a second, and then we'll discuss it, or do you want to discuss it before we go there? What's your pleasure, guys?
Could we get, Michael, maybe just a brief summary of what's entailed here in this packet for everybody to
Sure.
understand?
It's a standard request for proposal for bids for a public building with a slight caveat, with the vote of the town to ask the Board of Selectmen to support the program developed by the Historical Society. It requires us to list at least that project description as one of the projects to be bid on. The attorney indicated that we could quite literally list as many project types as we wanted to. I chose 3 to keep it simple. So first project would be to design, fabricate a modular building, assembled at the designated site, and then prepare, lift, and move the 1840 schoolhouse to the site, attach it to the modular building to incorporate into one town hall structure, and the cost shall be no more than $750,000. The second would be a design, fabricate a modular building, similar, but no attached 1840 schoolhouse. And the third design would be a stick-built structure. The set fixed price, bid price, is $750,000. I have it structured for a performance bid. to ensure that we did not go over bid. And I made sure that was added parking, landscaping, those types of things, to make sure that we have a entire package. And I did a list of all the rooms and made some space there for to go back in and talk about moving walls and that type of thing between offices if need be. And if there's any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
I have one. Is this on a full foundation?
That's up to the
Any
builder.
of
We
them?
would consider it being, certainly if the vault would be under a concrete slab. We suspect that there may be either a half basement or a full basement. I think some of the plans designed looked at a full basement, but several of the builders indicated that they would have to have a slab to support the safe. So at least portion of the building would be on a flat slab. The remainder would be a basement. We considered the basement essential in case we needed room to grow
Expansion.
or to have storage. And when we talked to some of the contractors, we made specifically that case that we needed to have storage space and room to grow.
In our original plans, it was that way.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions before we go on? One of the questions I had was that I noticed that we had nothing about renovating any existing buildings. And was that because the decision was not to do that?
No, that's not the decision at all. This is not the context of this particular request for proposal. This request for proposal gives the town the ability to choose any or none. So if you would receive a bid for such a project, and you will be receiving a project proposal for that, that would be listed separately. Once this went out, you had the ability to take any one of these or none at all and take the other proposal for a renovated building. If I did that, I would literally have to have another request for proposal inside the request for proposal.
Okay. Yeah, but the reason why I'm asking is because some people have proposed before to renovate some buildings.
Yes,
And the question I'm certainly is gonna come up to us why we didn't do that. But it sounds like if somebody wishes to do that, they can do that, and the board will review that and make decisions based on what this RFP brings in and what comes in from that direction.
to my knowledge, two have been mentioned, and you're likely to see two such proposals.
Okay, and the reason why I say that is because usually when we send our request for a proposal, we have the right to either accept or deny all.
Correct.
But usually we look for them to meet certain requirements of the request of that proposal. Now, if these people are gonna do renovations, they need to meet these specifications. Otherwise, they're not gonna meet the standards we want for office spaces, storage, a number of other things. So those people need to be made aware of that if they're gonna put a proposal in, otherwise they don't bother, because they're not gonna meet our requirements.
Well, as I stated, this is a request for proposal for these three projects. Requests or proposals to do renovations to other buildings be completely separate. It can be completely separate and taken in the context as they are presented. Right? So they have nothing to do with the structure of this particular request for proposal. They're completely outside of that.
Okay,
So that we'd have the ability to go in and structure any way we wanted.
okay. Any other questions, comments before we ask for a motion?
On these other proposals that we don't have, I understand what we got here.
Right.
But on the other ones, they'll have to, it's already been discussed before, they'll
Yes.
have to meet our requirements.
Correct.
And they'll have to meet the state and, all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Because, people have asked me about it. They said, well, there was other proposals.
Yeah.
And I just want to make that clear that if there is, then they get a chance to decide whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Question.
Yes.
I guess I'm a little just confused on, and I like your idea that if we have three options here, to have the option if someone wanted to do a renovation of a building, I feel probably it might be on your best interest to add number 4 down here on page 1 that would say you can also submit to renovate a building, and then it's included in this that has to follow all the bid specifications.
I would respectfully disagree, sir, to the
Okay.
extent that this calls for a brand-new office building, right? And specifications set forth here. Renovating a building is a completely different bag of worms. Not only, that gives the ability for the board to decide if they were to renovate a building, how they wanted to renovate the building, and it would be a complete set of different specifications from this.
Okay,
Yeah.
understand.
I have a question. Did the Historical Society submit a proposal, the costs, et cetera,
No, they have not.
their estimates?
They are one of many that have come forward and expressed their plan. They went about town with a petition,
Right.
and it was voted that the Board of Selectmen should support that. So the first proposal, the first choice proposal reflects that. It has to, by law. So when the request for proposal goes out, the Historical Society or a representative of the Historical Society, perhaps a contractor, can reply to the bid. They have as much a right as anyone to answer the bid.
See, if I remember right, they had contractors lined up to.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, let me,
Marry the building.
yeah, well, what we're looking for is a formal bid process, which would then break down each step, say who's, if they've got different people doing constructions, it would have a name that says, this is the person, this is how much it's costing, these people are responsible for that.
So the reason for
We don't
my
have that.
question is that that's what they would need to do
That's right.
at this point.
They would have to do the same thing as everybody else.
They would have to, yeah, me, I
Level
was
playing
gonna say.
They had an original estimate.
Yeah, right, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Probably just for clarification, you don't expect that the Historical Society would present a request for, or a proposal, that they have come up with an idea of what they feel they would like to do with the town hall and incorporating a historical building. I hope the town doesn't expect that they would be the ones that would be responsible, because they're just really they're not even an entity, that it would basically have to be a contractor that would come in on their behalf to build it with that idea in mind.
I can't speak for them, but I do know that they are looking at a contractor
Okay.
to represent them and come in with that proposal.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was clear that, to the town, that they can't make the proposal because they are not an entity.
They can, and if they're talking to a contractor, then that contractor will do that for them. It's not that they personally can't, they have to have a contractor.
That's what I
They
just want to
can-
make sure.
But they can do the same proposal any other person is doing. Somebody else could dream up how they want this, and they're gonna hire a contractor to come in and give that proposal. So they're on the same playing field as all the rest of the options that would come in. It's their choice whether they take a contractor or not. But I would ask the people of the community, do you want to have someone come in with no contractor, no engineering or anything else, that's gonna build you a building, and then you stand back and watch what unfolds? That would be kinda scary to me.
Definitely.
And that's why you have an RFP, and you have them present a contractor, and then you know that you're working with the professionals that know how each phase of this would have to go together and how it would work. Otherwise, you know, it's nice that people did all the hard work and figured out where it was and what they feel, but let's get an engineer and a contractor to
And
tell us.
obviously, they'd have to be certified, and the state would have to approve all this also before.
Well, it's a public
Just gonna
building.
get bonded.
Yeah, well, the public building, you've gotta have, the state's gonna be all over us
They'd be
anyways.
heavily involved.
Yeah, very much so, as Ronnie and others in the town can tell you, the state will be here.
I was just asking, you know, so the Historical Society does know that they need to play on the same.
It sounds to me like they've been in touch with our town administrator and
Yes.
they're working on
They
it.
have a, forgive me, I don't remember the name of the contractor, but they have a contractor.
Okay. So that answers that question. Any others?
Nelson, my question on this, and I think, Mike, you addressed it when you talked about the RFP, and then you went off and said, but a renovation of a building would require a different procedure here. My concern is that we maintain what we want in this building. You have listed what this board wants in this building. And I think that needs to be maintained even if you are renovating a building, that those offices and space and all that, all those specifications are included so that we're talking about apples to apples. I remember that discussion very carefully a few years ago, that this board wanted to make sure that we were talking apples to apples.
Yep, very much so.
If I may, I understand conceptually what you're talking about, but my mind is spinning trying to figure out how to incorporate those two into a single RFP. Because one is renovating a structure and the other is building a brand new structure. So there's, unless you completely gut the inside of a building to get the exact specifications of this, you're not gonna be able to meet this.
But that's up to the person that's renovating it. If they wish to meet these requirements, if it said renovating building as well, if it meant gutting it and doing it, then that's what they would have to do, otherwise they wouldn't meet the RFP.
Or if additional space is needed, they'd have to add on.
And then this particular RFP requires the building to be 2 lots down. So this would have to be completely rewritten. I would have to go back and figure out how to incorporate all the various elements into that. And that's why I kept it separately. And if a standalone proposal came in, that you would consider that option as a standalone.
Well, I think,
It's going to be a pretty convoluted project.
well, I understand what you want. I don't have any trouble with this RFP going out like it is. The key though is if we are really truly gonna allow people to renovate a building and put a proposal before us, we need to make sure that the people that are putting in this RFP understands that we're also asking for people that are renovating buildings to put in their proposal, that they're on fair playing
They're
grounds.
matching what
You
they're.
have to, it has to be apples to apples. So the problem you don't want to have is you have listed here space, and you've listed storage space, and you've listed offices. That needs to be the same, whether it's for a renovated building or it's for this particular RFP.
So,
Well, the one problem with this is location. This
Well,
says a specific location.
With respect, Frank, it doesn't. They can do what they want. They can reject anything. According to the RFP, they can reject anything, they can accept
Select
anything, they can change their mind, spin on a dime. They can do,
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's, but I'm
that
saying,
nobody can have any say in it.
But that's not what we're telling the contractor or the person that's writing the proposal. We're telling them this is what they have to have. Yes, we can say no to all of it, we can do
Right.
whatever we want, but we need to be fair when we're telling people out there that we want this as a proposal, and then turn around and say, but we'll also accept renovations, which are not necessarily in the location you're saying it, these people have to have it in. And other things, they might have a building that has way more space than what this one is, and they're gonna say something different.
so could you add the number 4 as I suggested, but reference in there that the requirement of location is not included in that process? That takes care of having it take care of the whole specification of what's in there. It takes out that it has to be on this piece of property. I'll leave that to Michael to see if he can work it out.
If I may,
I'm getting complicated.
I respectfully request that we consider making a decision on the direction we're going in, because we're gonna be all over the map here.
I agree.
I
I
have
don't
no
see how
idea
we
how
can
I'm
be
gonna do this.
comparing, I don't see any way at all to compare it.
Well, that's the problem I have, is if you have a renovation proposal in front of you, and you have a new building in front of you, the only thing, when you say this board can do anything they want, they can look at it and think of dollars and say, okay, we're gonna go with this cheap approach, and here's what it is, and it provides all the space that we needed, but it's not in the location we want, it's maybe lacking some other things that we specified. Well, this one here is wonderful, but the cost is too high. That's about the only decision I see that we could make between the two, because if we're truly asking for what's in the RFP and that's the space we want, that's the area we want, then there is no renovation anywhere.
And that's exactly where you're at, because every single person in this town hall has had insight and input on how they want a town hall to look, because of the flow of traffic, the numbers of people that come in, the space, the storage,
Multiple times.
multiple times.
It's been discussed for.
Committees.
I respectfully request that in these processes that I've been involved in, you decide what you want to do. You send out a request for proposal that you want a new town hall, you want it over there, you give the requirements for the request for proposal, and they come in and you build a town hall. If you want to do a renovation, select a renovation. But if we continue to manipulate and try
Yeah,
to...
we don't wanna bounce back and forth.
Yeah, but it's not a matter of whether I want to bounce back and forth. I want to do what you want to do. I work for you. But I'm explaining that this is going to be incredibly convoluted and complex if we try to keep doing this.
Just to clarify for myself and people at home, we're doing the RFP, say we get 3 proposals. Do we go back to the town to have the townspeople vote on which one, or does this board
We
decide which one?
have to have the town vote because it's a bonded project.
Okay, so the townspeople will get a choice.
Well, I don't know.
No, they
You'll vote on the
choice.
choice. You'll
We'll
vote
vote
it,
on whichever
and then
one.
they'll vote on the
We
bond.
decide in the project, they
Okay,
vote.
Right.
so we
Yes.
pick whichever one we're going with.
Yeah, you as a board can pick which ones you want. Now, you can back out of that and say, no, you don't want it, and list 3 items and say you can pick one, just like you do when you vote for somebody on the thing and there's 3 people running. Which one of these projects does the town wishes to do? And then you'd have one that say none, because that'd be your 4th choice, because they wouldn't want to
Well,
spend
that's
any
kind of what I
money.
was asking, that if you're gonna give them 3 choices.
But then you'd have to
No.
give them the none, because then they wouldn't want to spend
No.
any money. But now you're leaving that up to the
I mean,
people.
I think we're gonna see when we get these proposals, we're gonna may like, one may look a lot better than the other, we make a better design, more efficient, better looks, I don't know, I mean, there could be a number of reasons why we're gonna choose one or the
I
other.
can't imagine we've been trying for years to build a town office and all of a sudden come up with 4 different options, when we haven't come up with one yet.
Not one that's stuck anyway to the wall.
Right.
Someone's-
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is you're talking building. And that is obviously the main part in this. But you're also talking location. You're talking for the ability of the taxpayers, the town, for the future of the town. Best location to build a house, best location when you buy your own house. You pick what the best facility you can get. So with this, it's a board of select people to choose which is the best all-around building and location for the town that it serves. That's what the land was originally bought for. So unless somebody come in and pulled a rabbit out of a hat with a location that was better than we presently own, with a building that would match as good or better than what could be constructed on the property, then the selectmen would do their due diligence on picking the best location.
And if I may, we've got at least 5 different proposals that have been shown to us that are well under the price that we're asking for that site. And it's a horse race. So we send this out, and we've got any number of at least 5 that we know of that are going to be bidding on this, the building town hall building.
Okay. We're going a little bit back and forth now with the same.
I think there is a certain level of interest in a renovation in this town. A lot of people, I think, responded to certain ideas, like, for instance, the Roos building. I think there was, a high level of interest in that. And to sweep that off the table, I'm not sure you're gonna end up with a new town, with a town hall. Because town people might vote for none of those. Then you gotta put in a proposal for a renovation, and that property might be gone. And that might have been the
But a
best one.
former committee did an RFP on the roost, right? And
No, they didn't do an RP, they inspected
We
it.
did a, we
Oh.
did a comparison. But
You have to-
the issue, folks, is, we elected you, to sit around that table, it's time for you to make the decision. I think what Michael has put forth with the RFP, and he says he has a bunch of proposals. on that RFP, I think it's time for this board to step up to the plate now and look at those proposals and pick one and say, as a board, this is what we think is for the as best interest of this town. You're gonna vote eventually on the money for it. That's what you're gonna vote on.
Well, to answer Fred's question from what we heard earlier, renovations options will still be put in front of the board. They'll address them the same as they address this RFP, anything that comes in. What I'm seeing is that you already have a bunch of proposals in front of you, but we don't have the proposals that fully meet the RFP yet. with all
No,
the-
there's preliminary. Now, the other one thing I want to point out is, quite convincingly, the voters said they want a new town hall over here, and they
Right.
want the, I mean, notwithstanding, I've heard a lot of support for the Roost and for the church. So, but you have to consider as a board, you had a vote of the people preliminarily. That was rather convincing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, let's get a motion to approve this RFP and send it out if that's what you wish to do. I need a motion, I need a second.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, I think we debated it enough. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays, abstentions? Ayes have it. Go ahead and send your request out.
Yes, sir.
And that's the end of our agenda for the night. I'll take a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're out of here. Thank you.